sometimes your repository might get behind the main Thorium repository. You can see that here when it says this branch is however many commits behind Thorium sim, Thorium-sim, the main repository, and develop, which is the primary branch. We can fix this by doing a pull request from the main repository back to our own repository. To do that, just click this pull request button next to the warning here. Now we can see here that we are trying to do a pull request from Thorium sim with no dash, which is our fork, to Thorium-sim, which is the main repository. We want to do that opposite, so let's change this to be our repository. And then we have to compare across forks again, and then change this to be the main repository. And now we can see the changes that have happened, and we can create this pull request. And we'll create the pull request, and then we should be able to just merge it. So we can click the Merge Pull Request button, and now all of the things from the main repository have been pulled into our repository. So if we go back into the code, we can see that, oh, would you look at that? We're one commit ahead. Awesome. That commit is our merge commit. So we don't have to worry about being behind anymore. We have all of the updates. There is a slightly easier way that we can do this by adding an origin to our Git repository that we've downloaded to our computer. So let's take a look at that. Go in your terminal, let's navigate to our repository, and if we run git remote switch v or -v, it tells us that we have an origin remote, which is our repository, Thorium sim with no dash. But say that we wanted to have a main repository or an upstream repository, let's call it upstream, linked into our remote for the actual upstream repository, Thorium-sim/Thorium. We can do that. All we have to do is come over here to the repository, the main repository, not the fork, come to clone or download and grab this HTTPS URL, and then we can add this remote by going git remote add, we'll call this one upstream, and then paste in our URL. And now that upstream branch is in our repository. So if we wanted to pull in those changes from the upstream repository into our current branch, all we would have to do is run git pull upstream, and then the name of the branch we want to pull in, the main branch is develop, so we'll pull in develop, and that's going to pull in all of those changes. So there are two ways that we can do this. One way is by doing a pull request in GitHub from the main repository to our repository, which is what we did. Or we can run a pull from our command line by adding the upstream repository as a remote to our current repository. And then any changes that we make, we can just push from here to our regular repository by going git push. Oh, I've got to type in my username. Oh, gotta git pull too. And now we can git push. And there we go. Everything's good.